Hello everyone and welcome to your STAR training video for fall 2015. This video is for kinder through third grade teachers at Aspire Public Schools. Alright, so here's our agenda for this session. We're going to talk about what STAR Enterprise is. We're going to talk about getting ready for testing and running a testing session, scheduling, next steps, and who to contact for support. So what is STAR Enterprise? STAR Enterprise is three separate assessments, STAR Early Literacy, STAR Reading, and STAR Math, that are used to measure student growth in K-3 over the course of the year. So they are computer adaptive, nationally normed with approximately 15 million tests taken annually around the country. They're for kinder through third students at Aspire, and they're used as a student growth measure from fall to spring. And in 6th through 12th, they're used as a Lexile measure to measure students' growth in reading, also in the fall and spring. They take about 20 to 30 minutes per test, and the data that you get out of it includes the following: an overall scale score and national percentile rank, a Common Core state standards mastery estimate, so it'll basically tell you how your students are doing on the Common Core standards for your grade level, and it'll give you a reading level in the form of a Lexile, as well as a ZPD range to help with choosing class to help with choosing text for your classroom. So STAR in many ways gives us the best of many other assessments. It has standards level mastery data for the Common Core. It's a reliable and secure way of measuring student growth with a student growth percentile, and it has an adaptive format similar to Smarter Balanced. Here's the breakdown for how these different tests function in terms of who they're built for and their content. So STAR Early Literacy is meant for grades K2. It's mostly focused on early reading content and math. At the end, I think there are 5 math questions that actually come at the end of the test. It has about 30 questions and usually takes 15 to 20 minutes to complete for students. STAR Reading and STAR Math are for grades 1 through 12. They're aligned to the Common Core standards in their respective content areas, 34 questions, and anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes to actually complete. So identifying for first and second grade students which test to administer is one of the bigger challenges with STAR, but one that we have a solution for. So first, we should note that in order to measure growth over the course of the year, students have to take the same test in the fall and spring. So you'll use what's called the Early Lit versus Reading Tracker, which is an Excel document to determine which test your students should take this fall. If you're in doubt, you can administer early literacy, and then if they score over 775, you can administer reading. Here's a picture of that Early Lit versus Reading Tracker tool I just mentioned. Again, you'll just choose your school, your name, and your grade level, and it should populate with the names of all the students in your class, as well as the tests they should take. The key thing here is that if students score over 775 on the early literacy test in the fall, they are classified as a probable reader, which means that they should take the reading test as well. So if they score over 775 on early lit, give the reading test afterwards. So I want to just step back for a minute to talk about how STAR reading works. So there's this website, Renaissance Place, which is the main hub for all STAR activities. There's a picture of it here. There's like a picture of a teacher with some students in a library. As a student, you would go here and click I'm a student and log in to take a STAR assessment or to take an accelerated reader quiz. If you're a teacher, you also go to this same website and you just click I'm a teacher, and you would do this to change any test settings, check student progress, or review data and test reports. Administrators and testing coordinators also log in here if they want to change any school-wide settings, assign tests to classes, reset accounts, or pull any data for the whole school if they are, for example, on the RTI team, or they have some other reason to be looking at that school-wide data. So getting ready for testing. Sometime in the week before testing, you'll want to look at this one pager that we have a picture of here on the left. It's a Word document that will guide you through the 5 things that you can do to get ready for testing in the week before. So here they are. First, you're going to want to review the training videos that are included on this one pager. It should take about 10 minutes in total to watch 3 videos. You'll want to check which students your students will take and finalize the schedule. Set up accommodations with your ed specialists if you have any students with IEPs, print student logins and passwords, along with the pre-test instructions and tip sheet. It's always handy to have those around when you are testing. And you'll want to get ready to cover any classroom posters. So any reference material that you think students might use to answer test questions. At the most basic, this is word walls, number charts, and number lines, etc. So on the day of testing, you'll look at the back side of that page. There's a picture here on your left, and you'll have it as an attachment in your email. And you'll want to make sure that your posters are covered and that you have handy the following three things: student logins, pre-test instructions to read to students before they begin testing, and the tip sheet that will help you out in case you run into any trouble while you are testing. You'll want to make sure that your computers are set up and that you have a quiet activity for students once they are finished. And you'll also want to log into Renaissance Place on your laptop to track student completion with the test activity report. All right, so starting a test. On an iPad, you'll want to click the STAR app here on the right. On a desktop, you'll just click I'm a student. Once you've logged in the students with their username and password, they'll see screens like this. On an iPad, they can just choose the test they're going to take that day. On a computer, it looks a little bit different, but they'll just click on the test that they're going to take: reading, early lit, or math. From there, they'll go into a warm-up activity. And this warm-up activity has two functions. It trains students to make sure that they know how to use the software correctly, and it makes sure that the test content is appropriate for them. So if the student can't pass 2 out of the 3 questions on this warm-up, they are not allowed to go into the actual test itself. And you as a teacher would come over and check to make sure that they know how to actually use the software, or maybe they're having some problem where they aren't able to test. If in fact the test is too hard for them, then you can switch them over to early literacy, for example, and have them try again. And this is just saying that if students don't pass that warm up, the actual test will pause. All right. Moving right along, let's go into pausing, restarting, and stopping a test. So if you want to pause, restart, or stop a test, on an iPad, you tap the arrow in the top corner of the screen. On a computer, you can just click Stop Test. Once you've done that, it's going to take you into a little pop-up that asks for the monitor password. This password is always admin, ADMIN. Memorize it. You will definitely need it at some point during testing. So once you've actually chosen Stop Test, you'll see a little dialog pop up on the left-hand side of your screen that looks like this. You'll have 3 options: resume later, stop test, or cancel. Now, it's important to know first that STAR tests are timed. So if you want to actually pause a test, you should do so whenever a student needs a break, or whenever they are in effect going to stop doing their test, because if the student does not choose an answer to the question and time runs out, that question is automatically counted as wrong. And the test moves on to the next question. So obviously, if you have someone that needs to use the bathroom or needs a break for any other reason, make sure that you click this resume later button. Once that student has actually come back from their break, you will log them into the same test that they were taking, either reading, early literacy, or math. And you'll see a dialog that pops up that looks like this. It'll say resume test. You will enter the monitor password. Again, this is admin, ADMIN, and then they'll go back to the same question that they were on before they paused. Now, pause tests are saved for up to a week. After that, the student will need to actually start over again from the beginning. If you click Stop Test, that's this middle button here, the whole test is erased and they will actually go back and start over the next time that they log in. And again, that password is admin, ADMIN. Now, when do you want to pause a test versus when do you want to stop it? You want to pause a test when you have a student that is taking a bathroom break, they need some sort of brain break, if it is an accommodation that's part of their IEP, or if they're just taking longer than other students and you want them to finish later. That's fine too. You want to stop a test if you have any event that makes you think that this is not a valid picture of this student's current ability. So if they're sick when they're testing, or if there's a fire alarm, or some other event that makes you think that this score is going to be invalid, you should hit Stop Test and have them come back again later when they're ready to perform at their best. Okay, you want to keep in mind that the first test a student finishes during the testing window will count for their SGP. So there are a couple settings that are available within STAR that you may choose to turn on for your students. So the first is extended time. So earlier we were talking about the fact that every question on a STAR test is timed. Some questions are 120 seconds, some questions have up to 3 minutes. If you go in and as a teacher turn on extended time, each student will get in effect double the amount of time that they would normally get. Please note that this is not available for early literacy, it's only reading and math. And again, this is a setting that you can turn on either for some students or for all students in your class should you choose. You can also turn on audio for STAR Math. So if you'd like to have the questions read to your students and you'd like them to actually test with headphones, you can go in and turn that option on as well. These are both teacher level settings that need to be turned on by you, and neither of these settings will affect student scores or their SGPs. There are videos in the one pager that show you how to actually turn these on. And I don't see any reason why you wouldn't turn this on for your whole class. But again, this is up to you and what you think will sort of help your students perform at their best. Okay, scheduling. So your principal is going to get in touch with the testing schedule for your site. Schedules will, for the most part, be whole class, but if you so choose, you can test in small groups. I know that especially in K1, this has been a fairly popular option in the past. And whenever possible, you just want to make sure that you are testing in the morning and you are avoiding giving 2 tests in the same day to avoid burnout. Okay, frequently asked questions. Can I see copies or samples of the STAR test beforehand? Unfortunately, the answer is basically no. So STAR Enterprise is an adaptive test, meaning that each student is going to see a different version of the test every time that they log in. We have uploaded some videos for each assessment onto MyAspire, and they are linked in the training document that you will receive. You should definitely review these either on your own or even with your students if you want to give them a sense for how the test looks and feels. What standards or content will my students see? So all items are aligned to the Common Core. Students will generally start with their grade level in terms of content, but if they're doing really well and they're getting lots of questions right, they may end up seeing some content that's from higher grades, or if they are sort of struggling, they may end up seeing skills and content from lower grades. Either way, the reports that you see at the end will be tied to grade level standards. And lastly, what is the STAR item format? So STAR tests are almost all multiple choice. We've heard that there are going to be some, quote unquote, tech enhanced items similar to SBAC in 2015-16, but we have yet to see them. Okay, next steps for teachers. So you'll notice that we have another picture here of this overview document, preparing your classroom for STAR testing. And here are the basic, next steps that you want to run through using this document. You want to log into Renaissance Place, print student passwords, coordinate any accommodations with your ed specialist, make sure that all of your computers are ready to go with the link installed and the internet's working. And you'll want to make sure that you know how to pause or stop a test and also check student completion using the test activity report. Again, there are 2 short how-to videos that will show you how to do this in Renaissance Place on this training document on the right. So thanks so much for tuning in. I want to just line out who you can contact for support should you need it. For scheduling, please reach out to your principal or testing coordinator. For computer and testing link help, please talk to your school's school technology coordinator, or if you need home office support, you can reach out to Josh Portillo. Great guy, he's our student technology analyst. And if you have questions with anything else, student rosters, passwords, logins, anything like that, please reach out to Will Georges, our in-house STAR expert. His email is will.georges@aspirepublicschools.org. All right, thanks so much for listening. Be in touch if there's anything that we can do to help, and have a great rest of your fall, everybody.